got a call from a woman in California, and she said, "What do you know about crystal skulls?" Nothing. I'm a white guy from Willoughby, Ohio. Well, what do I know about crystal skulls? She says, "Well, Google it, because there's one coming to you." And her name is Dolly. So I Googled crystal skulls and was pretty blown away. They're in every culture. They don't know where they came from. They don't know how they're made. There's one that's in London, in a museum in London. It's like a perfect human skull. And they have analyzed it and checked it and looked at it, and they have no idea how it was made. There's no tool marks. They think that it was made by a laser. One of the theories is extraterrestrials have made these crystal skulls, or they came from Atlantis, and that's the theory behind them. They really don't know, because the only way you can tell with a crystal skull the age is by the kind of tool marks that are on it, because you can't carbon date crystal. So if there's no tool marks on it, then they had no idea. So when Dolly came to me, Dolly had no tool marks. She was a small skull about the size of a coffee cup. So if I would have held her in my hand, she was about this size. And they speak. They pass knowledge. Crystal holds knowledge. That is the key. They have memory. They're very close to a human makeup in their in the makeup of a crystal skull. So I had Dolly for about 3 months and sent her back to her owner, Adana, who lives in Big Sur, California. And I really didn't think too much more of it. I had gone to New England. I did a small tour with Dolly of healing centers in New England. I could see the impact that it had on people, and it kind of surprised me. At one of the healing centers, there was 25, 30 people, men and women, children. I explained Dolly what she does, her gifts, and I said I'd let everybody hold her. I went around the room, and there was a gentleman there, a big burly gentleman, and he said, "Well, it won't have any effect on me." And I said, "Well, that's okay, you can hold it anyhow, you know, it's going around." And he goes, "Well, it's not going to do anything to me." And I said, "Well, that's okay. I don't make that call, I'm just passing around, so go ahead and just hold it." Well, he held it in his hand, and I could see the change on his face. It had an impact on everybody in the room. He just kind of looked at me like, okay, and handed it back. And I continued around so that everybody could hold it. When it went around the first time, then there was Dolly, got her name. Hello, Dolly. That's how her name came. It was from Adana, who had her. That's what she heard when she was handed it. So that's how her name Dolly came. So we inject humor, because humor is healing as well. So there was a little humorous pause, and I said, "Okay, we'll send Dolly around again. Take as much time as you want, hold it, ask any questions. I don't know what it's going to do to the individuals, but this is how we'll do it." So the second time around, I was ahead of it, a couple of people, asking them about their first experience with it. And everybody had a positive experience of some sort. I got to this little girl who was there with her mother, and I said to her, she was 12 years old, and I said, "How did you like holding Dolly?" She says, "Well, I don't think Dolly liked me because I didn't get anything from her." I said, "Okay, that's okay." I said, "The next time," I said, "we'll see what happens the second time." So when it got there, I said, "Would you like me to hold my hands on yours while you hold her?" And she said yes. So I put Dolly in her hands. I put my hands around her. She had her hair down over her face, as sometimes young girls do, because she was a little shy. And I could see this grin building. And I didn't say anything more to her. She looked up, her face was lit up. She actually was glowing. This young girl was glowing. Gave it to her mother, finished the circle. It was the end. Everybody was saying goodbye, and this mother and daughter waited until the end, so because the little girl wanted to talk to me again. And she comes up, and I said, so what did you think about Dolly the second time? And she says, she changed my life. And I said, really? I said, how did she change your life? She says, before I held her, when I closed my eyes, it was dark. Now, when I close my eyes, it's light. She says, and I think it changed my life. So, and I was kind of set back by the whole thing. The mother was beaming during this whole episode. We left. 2 days later, I get an email from the mother, and she says, I have to ask you a question. She said, when my daughter was holding this crystal skull the second time around, did you see a glow around her? And I said, I did. I called the mother. I said, I did. And she says, I couldn't believe it. She says, I thought I was hallucinating. And then somebody else that was there that knew me said, do you know your daughter was glowing when that man had his hands on the crystal skull? So since then, the young girl, her grades have gotten better. She's more outgoing. And the only thing that the mother can attribute it to is whatever the skull was passed on to her.